Hello, Namaste and welcome you all. Since our last several lectures, we have been discussing about various formulas of marginal costing technique. In our last lecture, we have discussed how we can use PV ratio as a master key to solve the various problems of marginal costing technique. And we had also discussed various formulas to calculate PV ratio, that is profit volume ratio or contribution to sales ratio, and variable cost ratio, which is also known as marginal cost ratio. Now today we are going to understand or discuss various formulas to calculate sales, profit and loss. So today we are going to discuss total 7 formulas to calculate sales, total 6 formulas to calculate profit, and total 2 formulas to calculate loss. So let's start with sales. So first formula, sales is equal to total cost plus profit. This is very basic formula, as we all know. Total cost plus profit, then there will be the amount of sales. Then as we know, if we split total cost into two parts, first will be the variable cost and second will be the fixed cost. So total cost means sum of variable cost and fixed cost. So sum of variable cost and fixed cost, that is total cost plus profit, which is similar to the first formula. As we know, sales includes 3 contents, which are these: variable cost, fixed cost and profit. So total will be the sales. Next, sales is equal to contribution upon PV ratio. PV ratio means contribution to sales ratio. That's why when we divide contribution by PV ratio or contribution to sales ratio, then we get the amount of sales. Next, sales is equal to variable cost plus contribution. As we know, contribution means sum of fixed cost and profit. As we know, fixed cost and profit collectively known as contribution. That's why variable cost plus contribution, that is sum of fixed cost and profit. That's why variable cost plus contribution, that is fixed cost and profit. That's why this formula works. Variable cost plus contribution is equal to sales. Next, VC, that is variable cost upon variable cost ratio. As we know, variable cost is also known as marginal cost. That's why variable cost is also known as marginal cost. That's why variable cost ratio is also known as marginal cost ratio. Means these are not two different formulas. These two formulas are one and same. So VC ratio means variable cost to sales ratio. That's why when we divide variable cost by variable cost ratio, then we get the amount of sales. Next, total cost less loss. Loss is a difference between sales and total cost. When total cost is higher than sales, when total cost is higher than sales, means sales is less. That's why that difference amount is loss. If that loss we deduct from total cost, then we get the amount of sales, because loss is a difference between total cost and sales when total cost is higher than sales. That's why this formula works. Then, as we know, the BEP sales and margin of safety sales are two parts of total sales. That's why if these two parts are combined, then we will get the amount of total sales. You can see total sales is equal to BEP sales plus margin of safety sales, because these two are two parts of total sales. That's why it happened. So here total 7 formulas to calculate sales or turnover we have discussed. Now we are going to discuss various formulas available to calculate profit, which is also known as net margin. So first, basic formula, sales less total cost. Suppose sales is 10 and total cost is 8. So remaining 2 will be the profit. Then second formula is similar to first formula. just total cost is divided into variable cost and fixed cost. As we know, total cost is divided into variable cost and fixed cost. So sum of this is total cost. So sales less total cost is equal to profit. Next, third, per unit contribution into margin of safety units, not total units, margin of safety units. Why this formula works? As we know, at margin of safety sales level, contribution takes form of profit. That's why it happens. So per unit contribution into margin of safety units is equal to profit. Why? Because at margin of safety sales level, contribution takes form of profit. That's why this formula works. Next formula, profit is equal to margin of safety sales into PV ratio. As we know, if we sales into PV ratio is equal to contribution, and here sales is margin of safety sales. So margin of safety sales into PV ratio is equal to contribution at margin of safety sales level. Margin of safety sales into PV ratio is equal to contribution at margin of safety sales level. And contribution at margin of safety sales level is known as profit, because at margin of safety sales level, contribution takes form of profit. That's why this formula works. Next, margin of safety sales less variable cost of margin of safety unit. While discussing contents of BEP sales and contents of margin of safety sales, we had discussed that margin of safety sales has two contents. Which are these contents? Variable cost of margin of safety units, and second is profit. So when we deduct first content from margin of safety sales, then second part will, or second content will remain. So variable cost of margin of safety units is the first content, and second content is profit. So that's why if you deduct variable cost of margin of safety sales, that is first content, from margin of safety sales, then second content, that is profit, will remain. In that way we can calculate profit. Now question arises, how to calculate variable cost of margin of safety sales unit? Very simple. Per unit variable cost into margin of safety units is equal to variable cost of margin of safety sales units. Margin of safety sales less variable cost of margin of safety sales is equal to profit. Then last formula to calculate profit. As we know, contribution includes two contents. Which are these? Fixed cost and profit. Contribution include fixed cost and profit. If you deduct fixed cost, what will remain? Profit. In that way this formula works. So contribution less fixed cost is equal to profit. Now we are going to discuss formulas available to calculate loss. First, loss is equal to total cost less sales. Whenever our sales is less than cost, obviously we will incur loss. Suppose our sales is 10 and cost is 12. So cost is higher, so that 2 rupees will be the loss. In that way this formula works. The second formula, fixed cost less contribution is equal to loss. Why this formula works? Because amount of contribution, it is the amount of contribution which is utilized to recover fixed cost. But if contribution amount is less than fixed cost, means if contribution amount is not enough to recover fixed cost, then fixed cost will remain to recover, means cost remain to recover, cost yet not recover. Cost not recover means loss. In that way this formula works. So up to this stage what we discussed? We have discussed 7 formulas to calculate sales, 6 formulas to calculate profit, and 2 formulas to calculate loss. Now some items we are just revising because these items are concerned with the profit and loss. So which are these items? This first, if contribution is exactly equals to fixed cost, then what happens? That contribution get utilized to recover fixed cost and variable cost is already recovered. In that way our total total cost get recover. In that way our total sales and total cost become exactly equal. In that way our BEP stage comes. As previously we discussed, when BEP stage comes, when total contribution becomes exactly equal to total fixed cost, at that time automatically total cost and total sales become exactly equal and BEP stage, that is no profit no loss stage, comes. Means when the amount of contribution and when the amount of fixed cost is equal, then there will be no profit, there will be no loss. But if contribution is greater than fixed cost, then remaining amount will be profit, because we know contribution include two contents, fixed cost and profit. If contribution is more means than fixed cost, means remaining amount is a profit. That's why if contribution is greater than fixed cost, then difference amount is profit. You can see contribution is higher than fixed cost. That's why contribution remaining amount will be called as profit. Now if contribution is smaller than fixed cost or fixed cost is greater than contribution, then difference amount is loss. You can see here your contribution amount is less than fixed cost. Your contribution is not enough to recover fixed cost. That's why unrecovered fixed cost is a loss. So I hope all of you understood it. Thank you.